So this might be a little bit overwhelming, and I want you to feel like you have to understand all of this right now. It's more so just if you get hired as a script coordinator, I just want you to be able to say, I don't know what that is, but I've heard of it, just so you're not completely blindsided. So these very much vary from show to show. I've been on shows where I'm responsible for all of this. I've been on shows where I'm responsible for almost none of this. It just depends. So, notice of tentative writing credits something you're almost always going to have to do. And I got this from, I was able to just grab this from the WGA website. It's usually actually even going to be like a more, you're not going to have to get this from the website. Whatever studio you're working for, they're going to give you their specific, or your post department's going to give you their specific paperwork they want you to fill out. But basically, this is just saying who's going to be credited as sort of what, because like on a TV show, even people who didn't write the episode are going to be credited in the opening credits or the end credits or whatever. um, and all that's going to have to be listed here. So like, but you're only responsible for the writing department. So you're going to get like this document sort of going, and then your showrunner and the studio are going to sign off on it, and then it's going to go to post, just for them to have a document that says this is like, the showrunner has approved this person to get this credit. So post isn't like giving someone like an associate producer credit without the showrunner signing off on that in the studio as well. So that's the notice of tentative writing credits. This is like a pretty easy document to fill out. Weekly work list is the easiest document you'll fill out. Again, I was able to just grab this from the guild website. And you're gonna have all this filled in. It's just gonna be like the names of your writers, and literally it's just gonna be like changing the date and then sending it to the WGA. Loanout info. Most all writers have what's called a loanout. So you're gonna need to have their loanout info, and what a loanout is, it's the way that they get paid. It's for tax purposes, really. If the writer's name was John Smith, let's just say his loanout was John Smith Productions, and it's gonna have like a federal ID number, an EIN number, and you're just gonna need that info to put on some of the paperwork you might be responsible for. You are on certain shows going to be responsible for like getting the writers paid, or at least submitting the paperwork that gets them paid. When if you've like submitted the paperwork and then the writer comes to you asking why they haven't been paid yet, just you're going to just refer them to the studio or whoever handles that. Like, you're just the person who submits paperwork. It's not, you're not the one actually like dictating when they're specifically going to get paid and all that. So an assignment memo, well, I wasn't really able to find anything like this from the WGA, but it's just like a one-page document that says like, this is who is going to be writing the episode. Once the showrunner has sort of like agreed on who's going to be writing it, this is who's writing the episode, and the showrunner and the studio will sign off on the document, and then you'll send it off to the studio. Application to collaborate and certificate of compliance. I was able to get those documents from the WGA. What this is if a staff writer is assigned to collaborate with, and maybe the rules have changed. Don't quote me on this. I'm by no means like a WGA contract expert. But as far as I know, the rules are if a staff writer collaborates with anyone basically above staff writer, so story editor and up, they have to fill out what's called an application to collaborate, and then this document, a certificate of compliance, that basically just says that it's the staff writer saying, let's say that the staff writer got paired with the showrunner. It's the staff writer saying the showrunner didn't make me write the whole script and then just put his or her name on it. It's saying like the work was equal, or I'm not being taken advantage of. If you don't, if you don't fill out this paperwork, then that triggers, or at least it used to, I think it still does, triggers like an automatic arbitration, which creates a whole bunch more work that you have to do just for the staff writer basically to say like, no, the showrunner didn't take advantage of me. Unless the showrunner did take advantage and the staff writer wants to have an arbitration about it. And character payments is something generally you're going to submit to the guild at like the end of your season. And that is if you're working on a procedural and a writer, writes the first episode that a character who's not a series regular appears in, then that writer is going to get like a residual every time that character appears moving forward. So I think like the most famous example I've heard is like Sam Waterstein on Law and Order. He appeared, he wasn't supposed to be a series regular, and he became a series regular, and that writer got paid a whole bunch of money. Same thing, I believe, with Frasier on Cheers, and maybe Luke Perry on 90210, I'm not sure. So anyway, it's going to be a document that you're going to fill out. Yeah, there's no document on here, but on the WGA website, it does have like a little thing about it. If you just search Google character payments WGA. So that's just a document you'll fill out, and sometimes it can get a little bit, because the studios don't want to have to pay any money for anything unless they have to. So sometimes you're gonna have to like explain why this character was a character and not just someone who was there as like a judge. And not to go too far into the weeds here, but sometimes, like let's say it was a legal show and you had a judge, a lot of times the showrunner will want to actually give that judge a name, because then the writer could be eligible for character payments. If it's just judge or just cop or soldier or whatever, even if they appear in multiple episodes, unless they were given a character name, then the studio is going to be like, well, they're not a character, they were just the judge. So a lot of times showrunner is going to want to give a character name. And then the other thing that like is the writer's contract, which the first time I was on a show and I had to fill this out, I was kind of like, I feel like I'm not qualified to be doing this, but whatever. It's, So this is something I was able to just get off the guild website. And you're going to fill this out and say, like, you're going to have a document that says how much they get paid, but it's like if the writer is just getting story credit or if they're getting just teleplay credit or whatever it is. And then, once the writer signs this and the showrunner signs it, then you're going to send it off to the writer's agent, to the guild. If you feel overwhelmed by what I just went over, don't. I'm just trying to give you like a very basic understanding, so you're not blindsided if you get a script coordinator job that you might have to handle some of this paperwork.